welcome back to my channel. My name is Neha and you're watching in me Australia. So a couple of days ago I did a poll on my Instagram and also on YouTube that whether you would be interested in watching a video about some tips and tricks to prepare for jobs and interviews here in Australia, and majority of you wanted a video, so here I am. But since this topic was so vast, I thought of dividing it into two parts because I don't want to make this video super long and super boring. So yeah, it's again a two-part series. In the first part, I will tell you about resume, so how you should write your resume, and then how you should apply for jobs here in Australia. And in the next part, we will talk more about the tips to prepare for your interview, so how you should prepare for your interview if you get an interview call. So let's get started with this video and let's dive into the world of resumes and job applications and everything else. But first things first, let's understand why you should listen to me and why am I making a video on this topic. So the first reason for that would be that I have been applying for a lot of jobs in this last 1 year. So in 2020, as soon as I got my spouse visa, I started applying for jobs. So I've been through this process a number of times, so I have that experience. And B, I work in the recruitment sector, so that's a part of my job, to scan resumes, to conduct interviews. So of course I have a tad bit of knowledge about all of this. So let's get started with the video. Subscribe to my channel if you would want to watch more such videos. Share this video with your friends and let's begin. Let's start by talking about the resume. So in this part of the video, I will be talking about the ideal length of a resume, the kind of sections that you should include in your resume, the format that you should use, and of course the content that should be there in your resume. So let's start by talking about the ideal length. So ideally, your resume should never be longer than 2 pages. Yes, even if you have years and years of experience, please try to fit everything into 2 pages. And yes, that is possible. Nobody wants to read a story, so don't write about everything you know. It should be concise, short, simple, yet effective. And that's the key to an effective resume. So your resume should never be longer than 2 pages. And I will let you know how you can accommodate everything about yourself in those 2 pages in the next part of the video. Now let's talk about the sections, the different sections that you should include in your resume. So the first one is your personal information. Now in this brief tiny little section, include your name, your phone number, your email ID, and if you wish, you can also include the URL or the link to your LinkedIn profile. But remember, once you have added that gives the hiring managers a chance to visit your LinkedIn profile. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile looks professional and is up to date. Things that you should never ever include in your personal information section on the resume are that you're a citizen, you're a permanent resident, your age, your date of birth, that you're a male, female, or other. Don't include all of that. That is just irrelevant, unnecessary information that will take up those pages, the space that you can use to put in some important information on the resume. So just your name, your phone number, your email ID, and if you wish, your LinkedIn profile URL. That's enough. The next section is completely optional, and that is your professional summary. So just briefly summarize your professional experience in not more than 2 to 3 lines. So for example, maybe you have been in the education sector for the past 10 years and you have developed so and so skills, and that's it. Don't use vague words that do not make any sense to the recruiter. Just avoid using those words. So after the professional summary, for working professionals, the next section would be your work experience. Now, as most of you might know, that your work experience should always be in the reverse chronological order. So talk about your recent job first and then talking about your first job later. So just in the reverse chronological order. Talk about each experience in about 3 to 4 points, not more than that, because remember, you need to accommodate everything in 2 pages. Now, If you have a work experience of more than 5 years, do not talk about your educational experience in detail. What you can do is that after your work experience, you can include another section called education/certification, and then maybe you can talk about your qualification, for example, bachelor's in technology with electronics and telecommunication specialization, IT ILV3 certification or CCNA certification. So just add another section after your work experience called education/certification and add all of these details over there. Now, in case you are a fresh graduate out of college, you're a student, this is your first job, after your professional summary, you can talk about your educational qualification in detail. You need to emphasize on that as you do not have any work experience. And after that, you can talk about your internship or volunteering experiences, because that's your work experience. So you need to emphasize on your education experiences, whereas a working professional needs to emphasize more on the work experience. So once you're done with your work experience and educational qualification, the next section should be awards/achievements. So if you're a working professional, you can talk about any awards that you have received in your career. And if you are a student, you can talk about any scholarships, and also you can talk about any awards that you have received. So awards/achievements is the next section. And last but not the least is the section for references. So you need to include 2 referees over there. Talk about their name, their email ID, their phone number, their position in the organization, and their relationship with you. So you need to include at least 2 references, and they can be your colleagues, your managers, your professors, your classmates, someone who can talk about your experiences, your performance in the organization or in your college. Now that's all about the kind of sections that you need to include in your resume. The next topic is the format of the resume. It is very important to format your resume correctly, and I will let you know why. But let's first understand what is the correct format of a resume. Never ever write paragraphs in a resume. That's extremely boring and not at all informational. Try to use bullet points. That works the best on resumes. It's more readable and it looks more neat and comprehensive. So format is extremely important. Use bullet points to talk about your experiences, your awards, or anything that you want to talk about on your resume. The most important thing to remember here is that your resume should be formatted in a way that it is ATS compliant. Now, ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System, which is a software to which you upload your resume once you are applying for a job. Now, ATS is used by most of the companies these days. What it does is that it stores your personal information, qualification, any keywords, contact information into the candidate's database, which is then used by recruiters to shortlist the candidates. So if your resume is not formatted correctly, the ATS will not understand it and will not save it correctly. And hence your resume will never reach the recruiters who are searching for their ideal candidate on this ATS system. So it's very important that your resume is formatted correctly. There are a lot of tools online available that scan your resume and assess your resume to see whether your resume is ATS compliant or not. So you don't need to worry about anything. There are a lot of free tools that are available. I will list some of them down in the description box. Make sure to check them out. So there are quite a few things that messes up with this ATS system. Try to avoid these on your resume, and those are watermarks, tables, images, graphics, etc. So now you know what you should never ever include on your resume. If you include these, of course your resume will not be ATS compliant, which is very important to get a job here in Australia. The next topic is content. Content is way more important than format, and I think most of you might know this. You might have the most beautifully designed resume, but if it's not effective, it will never make past the hiring manager. So your content needs to be simple, short, and effective. So as I told you, talk about each work experience in not more than 3 to 4 points, 3 to 4 bullet points. Now I'll talk about a framework that you can use to write an effective bullet point. So here's how the framework looks like. You can take a screenshot if you want. So the first point talks about action verbs. So start your bullet points with a strong action verb. I've included a few examples like created, managed, spearheaded, organized. These make a good impression on your hiring manager. The next one is filler words. So do not use words such as various, multiple. Instead, be specific by using numbers. So for example, don't say that you implemented various features. Instead, you can say that you implemented 10 plus features. That's about being really specific and not using fillers. The next one is to quantify your impact using numbers and metrics. So, did your achievement save time for your company, or maybe you increased revenue? While you might not be able to do this for every bullet point, do it as much as you can and wherever you can. The next important thing to keep in mind is talk about your accomplishments and not responsibilities. Remember, your bullet points should always tell the recruiter or hiring manager what you have accomplished and not what you do on a day-to-day basis. If you find yourself starting your bullet point with responsible for or a weak verb like assisted, you're likely writing about your responsibilities and not your accomplishments. Similarly, if you use the present tense, there's a pretty good chance that you have just listed a responsibility, because it's really hard for something you have accomplished to be written in the present tense. For example, use managed, not managing. The next one is quite obvious. Remove personal pronouns. I, my, their. It is understood that your resume is written about you and your experiences, and personal pronouns just take up space and increase wordiness. You want to be specific and save that space. So just remove these pronouns. And last but not the least, keep each bullet point only 1 to 2 lines long. Short, succinct bullet points are key to your resume's readability. As I told you, blobs of text, that is bullets or paragraphs that are 3 or lines longer, are likely to not be read. So just try to keep it short, simple, yet effective. Here's an excellent example of a bullet point that follows this framework. So let's look at the first example. Created a performance reporting template achieving an 80% reduction in the preparation time of standard client materials. So created is a very strong action word. It is just one line. So this bullet point is just one line, and it uses some numbers and metrics to quantify the achievement. So 80% reduction. So that is how you write bullet points effectively. I have included a few more examples. You can screenshot this one and write your own bullet points. That's about resumes, guys. I have created a free downloadable sample resume that will guide you to create your own effective resume. So make sure you check out the description box in case you would be interested to download it. Also, make sure to let me know in the comment section below what is the most challenging part about writing your own resume. Whether it is about fitting everything into 2 pages, or whether just to think about all your achievements in the past so many years. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's move to the second part of the video, which is about how to apply jobs here in Australia, or rather where to apply jobs here in Australia. So the first one is, and I think I've talked about a lot in a lot of my previous videos. I will link some of those videos up here, so make sure you check them out. The first one is to see if your current organization is also operating in Australia. So for example, if you work for Accenture, I know for a fact that Accenture also operates in Australia. So when you are in Australia, and if you have been an Accenture employee, make sure to check for current openings in Accenture. I'm just giving an example, guys. Accenture is not sponsoring this video. In case you see that Accenture is operating in Australia and you find a current opening that matches your skill set, make sure to apply for that job. For a fact, both me and my husband got their first jobs in the organization that we have worked for in India. So that has worked wonderfully for us. I'm sure it will help you too. So once you're in Australia, check whether your organization is operating in Australia and apply for any suitable jobs over there. The second one is asking for a referral. I know this sounds quite daunting because a lot of us hesitate to ask for help, but this works as wonders, guys. Trust me on this. So if you know that there's an opening in a certain organization, and if you know someone who's working for the same organization, reach out to them, ask for help. People are more than happy to help. And to be very honest, people who get referrals have higher chances of getting an interview call than those who are applying without a referral. So honestly, I've seen that referrals do work. So yeah, just think about all the benefits that you can get by asking for that one help. Ask for help from your family, friends, anyone who you know in Australia. Usually people are more than happy to help. So please don't hesitate, ask for referrals. And last but not the least, if you don't have your previous organization here in Australia, if you don't know anyone, you definitely have websites to apply for jobs. Just like in India, we had Monster and Naukri.com. We have seek.com.au over here, indeed.com.au, and of course we have Glassdoor and LinkedIn. Please take advantage of LinkedIn. Please update your profile, engage meaningfully on LinkedIn. This really helps. So definitely you can get jobs through all of these portals. Of course, you will have to apply for a lot of jobs. You'll get a lot of rejections. Be mentally prepared for that. That's all a part of the game that you're in for. So just use these websites, apply for jobs religiously every day, and I'm sure you will crack that job. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you found this video useful. I'm going to make a part 2 pretty soon. So if you have any questions, any doubts, make sure to write them down in the comment section below. I will answer them over there, or I will include them in my next video. And of course, if you like this video, you know the drill. Give it a big fat thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Me Australia. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.